Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Game Nexus. And it's Dwayne here, and we're coming at you with another episode of the RPG Closet. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about yet again another role-playing game that I've pulled out of my closet, and continuing with the theme here. A lot of these games I haven't played in decades, even, but I do have a passion for them. And today we're going to be talking about one in particular game that I have logged a fair bit of playtime with when it originally came out. After my high school years, the game just kind of dropped off my radar, and we stopped playing it with the regular crew. And I really haven't picked the game up since then, although it's been in the back of my mind. And that game is none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. So if you've had a look at my past RPG Closet review when we talked about Robotech, the role-playing game, this game also came from Palladium Games. So this is a game that was released in 1985, I believe, and this was one of the early games that Palladium actually released using their universal rule system. So they, I think, launched their publication line with Heroes and, well, the Palladium RPG, and then they started branching off into different genres. So they quickly followed up with Heroes Unlimited, which is basically their take on the Marvel Universe, DC Universe, which we might even be covering in an upcoming episode as well. But the Palladium RPG was their fantasy world. Heroes Unlimited was their heroes world. And then they started getting their hands into licenses. And before the Robotech RPG became a thing, the Ninja Turtles license landed on their lap. And this was the early Ninja Turtles. They hadn't really hit mainstream popularity as of the time that Palladium acquired the license. So what you're seeing in this rule book, basically this supplement, is the original Ninja Turtles, as people who originally picked up the comics knew them. Black and white artwork, very gritty, very dark, sort of the artist rendition of Daredevil meets Batman rolled up into a nice mutated animal wrapper. When you open this rule book up, you're going to get your typical Palladium role-playing rules. So if you haven't really had a chance to sort of get accustomed to what their rule set is, pick up any of their books, and it pretty much is going to get you caught up to date on any of their games, really. What the Ninja Turtles RPG did differently, however, was that they layered in the concept of mutations, taking this concept of regular animals that the Ninja Turtles cartoon and comic books went with, and mutating them. Just kind of a novel approach, right? The players aren't playing humans, so right off the bat, when me and my friends got a hold of this book, it was kind of a foreign thing for us because we weren't playing the charming heroes or the roguish kind of characters that we were used to playing in Dungeons and Dragons and such. We were actually playing animals. So one of the challenges right off the bat was we got the book and immediately wanted to jump in and play the turtles, because those were the most iconic characters and right on the cover, right? And the turtle stats are in the game, which is cool. And in all the time that I've played that game, I don't think we ever played a game using the turtles. We dove right into the rule system, and actually started making our own mutated animals, which is kind of neat. So one of the odd things about this game, which I think carries through to a lot of Palladium's game, is that their cookie cutter approach to character creation and skills and whatnot is great in the sense that it covers a lot of options, but not necessarily tailored to specific games. So like I mentioned in my previous episode with Robotech, you had all these skills that you could choose from, and not all of them got used. It was kind of a situation where you're having cooking, sewing, survival, just all these skills, and it was a real challenge for a game master to make some of these skills relevant. So it was more or less just taking up space on a character sheet. Same thing applied here with Ninja Turtles. The bulk of the rules focused on combat, but then you'd have the skill section labeled with all this. So, we just took the obligatory non-combat oriented skills just to fill out the character sheet. So it was great. We dove in. The rulebook's actually quite good. It lists a lot of common domestic and not so much domestic animals that you can actually mutate. And they created a new system that their other RPG games didn't have, called BME, or Biomutation. And you had a certain amount of biomutation points that you could actually allocate to your animal. So you start off in your core animal form, whether it be a rat, a turtle, a dog, whatever you wanted to be, and you mutated the character yourself. You actually went and applied these points to whether you wanted bipedal stance, intellect, and then moving beyond that into things like enhanced powers and such, right? So essentially you got to see how your character mutated, and you could actually choose to take a non-fully mutated character if you wanted to. You could have, sort of a halfway between a human and the animal of choice, just like the Ninja Turtles. So in that sense, it was kind of cool. They also had options for actually evolving the animal into a full human-looking creature, but retaining the powers and the abilities of the animal. So lots of flexibility in how you created your character. Of course, being younger teenagers, we just wanted to make characters that were as cool as the Ninja Turtles. So ranging anywhere from armadillos. I believe armadillos were the coolest ones we made. The ninja armadillos. I believe my friend even made a Wolverine. At the time, 80s movies were in full swing, and we were watching movies like Commando and Rambo and all sorts of ninja movies. So my friend actually at one point made like a Wolverine, mutated Wolverine with like guns and bows and stuff. So very cool. The game lent itself very much towards combat, fighting, those kinds of things. So most of our adventures involved raiding military bases, fighting off hordes of ninjas or soldiers and that kind of thing. And that's sort of where the comic books were geared anyway. If you look at the older Ninja Turtle comic books, it was all about the conflict with Shredder and the Foot Clan and the aliens and lots of guns and lots of cool action stuff. So the role-playing game didn't disappoint, gave you lots of options, weapons. They had lots of detailed stats on weapons, and even martial arts was really cool. So breaking it down even further, if you do manage to get a copy of this book, has gone through several revisions and reprintings over the years. I think my copy was a 1990 reprint version of it. So Palladium had some struggles with some of the rule sets coming under fire. They had a section on mental illnesses and all sorts of different traits that you could assign to your character, and now have become politically incorrect. And at the time, come under fire from parent groups and such like that. So depending on what version you have, you might have some minor variations on the rules, but the core rule set is going to be there. So let's just say you managed to get a copy of this game. What are you going to do with it? Well, sadly, the core game is a very thin book. It's going to give you sort of just the starting point to actually jump into the TMNT universe. What then followed was Palladium creating a lot of supplements. Specifically, they made adventure books. I do have an actually DM screen, which is really cool. But mostly adventure books and stuff like that. I mean, they did have some larger source books that expanded the roster of animals and taking the characters into space and such like that. But they're all very small, small supplements. Nothing in the hardbound D&D quality stuff. What they did do, though, which was really cool, is they took the concept of the mutated animals and they shoved it into a sort of a post-apocalyptic setting called After the Bomb. Now, I was in high school when I saw my first glimpse of After the Bomb, and it was pretty cool. Basically, taking that concept that humanity just gets kind of obliterated and animals inherit the world. So, After the Bomb dealt with post apocalyptic versions of these characters. They even had a comic strip with the Ninja Turtles at one point, what they would be like in After the Bomb. And then After the Bomb basically went through the route of what the world would look like in the different regions of the world. So, After the Bomb Australia, they had the different countries of the world and what unique, different geographic and historical and cultural differences would be applied in After the Bomb. I think the only one that I really bought was the Australian After the Bomb, and that was, again, pretty cool. But that pretty much finished off their line in the TMNT RPG. They never really went back and published a lot of supplemental material for DMs who are making their games take place in a more contemporary setting. I think near the end you see After the Bomb blend into the Rifts RPG, which is sort of when Palladium started gelling all their different rule systems into one and thinking of a unique setting. And again, we're going to cover Rifts, but that's sort of where the TMNT line kind of veered off. And like I said, I stopped playing it years before that. So all in all, it's a great RPG. It's for me now. I would treat it more as a one-shot RPG. I couldn't really see building a long-term campaign around it. My initial thoughts these days are geared towards maybe drafting up some new updated character sheets for the Ninja Turtles themselves and running like a one-shot, two-shot little adventure series with a couple players, just to get them indoctrined to the RPG mechanics that Palladium uses, and maybe then steer off into a Rift campaign. But if you do get a hold of it, there's probably lots of material online, and just let your imagination flow. Go back, revisit some of the old cartoons if you want to get some ideas about how these animals and mutations all play into it. And most of all, it's just have fun with it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been another episode of the RPG Closet. Like I said, we're going to try to do these things as often as we can. I got lots more games to show you. And in the meantime, make sure you like, subscribe our channel, and visit us at enterthegamenexus.com.